Welcome to BShynaz Legacy. How are you doing today? Thank you for taking the time to come and check out this quick overview and learn a little bit more about what we're doing. Now, what we're trying to teach you today is just some simple concepts for you to take home and definitely apply these vehicles and ways and simple concepts about to understand finance. Now, we're on a big mission, and the way we're trying to get to this mission is by teaching people to understand finance a lot better. Now, the reason why you came here is probably because someone did tell you or share this video with you, and it's because they care. The reason why they care is because they want to see you have a brighter future. Now, a little bit about who I am. I've been with our firm with a little bit over 4 years. I'm a licensed professional, and I've helped many families. Helping them understand about how finances with our workshops is very important. Now, just to give you a little bit of insight about what we're doing, I'm going to tell you about 3 simple ways to understand finance very quickly. The first thing we're going to talk about taxes. And then after taxes, we're going to cover how to budget. And then after budgeting, we're going to talk about the rule of 72. I have a saying where I say, if you understand taxes, you understand where to put your money. Now, did you know that is broken down in 3 different ways? And the 3 ways that taxes are broken down into is either you're going to get taxed now, later, or never, right? Now, I know you're already thinking, never. How come I never hear about that one? Well, I'm going to break it down and I'm going to show you how that was. Now, the first one we're going to talk about is tax now, which is also known as taxable money. Now, the vehicles that you're going to get taxed now is in your checking, your savings, your CD, your stocks, your mutual funds, right? All these vehicles you're going to get taxed now in, because all earnings or any gains on these vehicles is subject to being taxed at the end of the year. Some of you guys may see a form come in the mail or something it's right on, it's called a 1099. It's because they already take the tax from it. And if you fail to don't report that, that could be very serious consequences. Now, I know that about 85% of the population have a bank account. And how many of you guys know that? Now, how about the fact that we have something called tax later, which is also known as tax deferred? Now, what are tax deferred vehicles? Tax deferred vehicles come underneath the umbrella of a 401k, 403bs, 457s, and IRAs, annuities, and even pensions, right? These vehicles are subject to what is called tax later. They're tax deferred vehicle. Now, tax deferred vehicles is really mean that your money is pre-tax money. It means that you haven't paid any tax on it, and what they do is tax you later. So just to give you an easier analogy of what that means, imagine you were a farmer and I was a guy that was to sell you the bag of seed. And I gave you 2 options. I said I would tax you on the bag of seed now, or I'll wait till you went and go plant acres of harvest and I'll tax you on the harvest. Which one would you want me to tax you on? Would you want me to tax you on the harvest, or would you like me to tax you on the seeds? I'm pretty sure you're probably saying the seeds. Well, in this real life, is what they're doing is this. They're not going to tax you on the seed. They'll wait till you go grow that seed into many acres of harvest, and they tax you on the harvest. Then they got a lot of rules with this. They said that if you touch the money before 59 and a half, they're going to penalize you 10%. And if you don't start taking the money before 70 and a half, they're going to penalize you 50%, which is called RMD, required minimum distribution. Because you fail to do that, they will tax you 50% of your money. Now, on top of this, all incomes that come from this is taxed as ordinary income, right? So that means you're going to be taxed as if you're still working. Now, these vehicles are also misunderstood, and they're called retirement vehicles. Now, retirement fall under 2 basic categories. It's a defined benefit or a defined contribution. Now, a defined benefit plan is also known as a traditional pension. A pension is where you get paid, right, through retirement until you die. And this is all based on the amount of years that you work at a company and how much your salary level is. That determines how much you'll get in your pension when you qualify for it. Now, these things come with even another understanding of when is really retirement. And that's something that we see that's going on the rise every year, sometimes due to all the different things that's happening. Now, here's another good thing is about a pension. Now, a pension is actually, it will continue paying out to your spouse or a beneficiary even after you're long gone. Now, these plans are very expensive for companies. That's why most companies dramatically scale back away from them because why? People are living longer today. The whole pension plan was for you to not to live too long, right? Then they came up with a defined contribution plan. Now, the defined contribution plan is also known by their IRS tax codes, which are like a 401k or 403bs or 457s. These vehicles is what is called defined contribution plan. Many times, your company is basically play the role of a plan sponsor where they enroll you through a third party. It could be the administrator, like a mutual fund company, an insurance company, or even a financial broker, right? A lot of the contribution limits are set every year due to the high cost of living, which is also known as inflation. You know, they call them defined contribution plan because you definitely know what you put in, but you won't know what you may get out due to the market performance and all the fluctuation that could happen. Now, my thing is, we need to be more certain in times. But the only thing is that only about 10% of people participate in this due to the fact that most people have to stay in a job long enough or enroll through a job. Now, that is what we call tax deferred. Now, let's move on to our third category, what we call tax never. Tax never is also known as tax advantage. Tax advantage vehicles are considered like Roths, long-term care, municipal bonds, life insurance, and also a 529 college savings plan. These plans is where you get tax never, or they would like to say tax exempt. The reason why you get tax exempt in these vehicles because you already paid the tax in the beginning, and all gains later on is tax free earnings, and they give you tax free distributions. Now, the tax advantage that apply around some of these vehicles, like people might hear life insurance and they may get spooked. They may think life insurance is not a big deal. But let me tell you just a few perks about life insurance. Now, life insurance come with what's protection against garnishments and even lawsuits. It even give you a great way to have access to emergency fund. Because if you was to take emergency fund from your tax deferred vehicles like your 401ks and 403bs, you'll be taxed because you took it out before 59 and a half. Now, in a life insurance, you could have access to either take it out through a tax-free loan or tax-free withdrawal. On top of this, they also have something that is called a retirement way, right? You have access to use this money for retirement and use it as a supplement because it's a tax-free distribution vehicle. We like once again, you don't get taxed on the earnings because you get tax deferred earnings. So that means all gains in a life insurance, you actually get tax never when you grow it later on. So no, you don't have to get affected on the growth, right? Now the good thing about that is the fact that it's a great way to save for the kids' college tuitions. Unlike your 529, now a 529, most people may think that's a great way to save for a kid's college tuition, but did you know that a 529 can affect a family's eligibilities? Did you know that if you don't use a 529 college savings plan for college, you will actually get taxed? Believe it or not, you will actually get taxed on the gains, and you also have to pay a penalty, right? Because it's only supposed to use for college. Now, what if I told you that when you look on that FAFSA sheet, they do not ask for life insurance? How about the great fact that it's a great way to save? Why? The reason why it's such a great way to save in this vehicle is because it gives you great interest earnings. And we're going to talk about that within later on. Why is it so powerful to get better interest on our money? Now, let's look at now go into the budget. But before I get into budget, I want you to just ask yourself, how would you want to be taxed after you just hear that? Now, later, or never? That's something that you got to think about. And we teach a lot more about this in our free workshops. Now, here's another thing. When it comes to budgeting, it comes to three simple numbers. It's three numbers. It's 50, 20, 30. It's the 50, 20, 30 rule. This rule has been out for hundreds of years, right? This is nothing new. It is a very simple way to keep a budget plan. Because what it says is that 50% of your income go towards a fixed expense. And then you have 20% of your income that should go towards saving towards financial goals. Then you have 30% of your income to have fun money. That's the spending money. Now let's break it down. If you were to put 50% of your income towards your bills, 20% towards savings, 30% towards spending, what if your 50% can't cover all your bills? My question to you is, would you take it from your savings or would you cut back on spending? I hope I'm talking to the right person. You pick and you cut back on the spending and apply it. And that's some of the ways that we got to stay on track. Because when it comes to budgeting, you got to remember that you got to start paying yourself first. You got to pay yourself at least 5 to 15%. That's how much you got to be saving. You got to be saving anywhere from 5 to 15% just to keep up with inflation. Because inflation happens when a country prints too much money. And due to that, everybody lose a little value of their money. Now, here's another thing what inflation is. Inflation is like the silent killer. Most people consider inflation as the hidden tax system. Did you know that from 1914 to 2014, the inflation rate averaged 3.32%? So that means if you're not earning 5% interest on most of your money, that means you're already living paycheck to paycheck. You can't keep up with the cost of living. You know, a bread was 60 some cents back in the days. Now bread is $1 something. It's the same bread, but the prices change. That's what inflation is, the cost of living. So we got to find a tool and a way to keep up with the cost of living by getting more interest on our money. That's the secret to wealth. Many people think it's saving. No, it's not just what you earn and it's not what you keep, but it's what the interest is upon your money to keep up with inflation. That's the only way you're going to keep up with inflation and keep up and get closer to gaining wealth. That's what we've been trying to teach the public and get them prepared to understand this concept. Now, the reason why you need to learn this second thing that I'm going to talk about, which is also known as the rule of 72. Now, the rule of 72 was created by Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said, if you take 72 and you divide it by whatever interest you make on your money, that equal amount of years it takes for your money to double. That is very important. Let's just say that we had a bank and your bank gave you 1%, right? What you got to do is then take 72 divided by 1%. 1 going to 72, 72 times. It's simple math. Now, you'd have to wait 72 years for your $100 to become $200 if your bank gave you 1%. Did you know the bank give you less than 1% on your money? If you ever want to know what bank your bank is giving you, all you have to do is go to bankrate.com and search your bank, and you will learn how much interest you're earning in your checking and savings account. How about if you was to take out a credit card? Now you borrow money from the bank. Did you know that the average interest rate on a credit card is about 18%? Now you take 72 and you divide that. That will show you that the money could double up against you every 4 years or more. See, now the banks even got more complicated and they got more smarter. You got to start looking at what the transaction fee is, right? What is the transaction fee? What is the interest upon every purchase? That's how they start raking in money. So that's one of the things that we got to start learning and start reading more and be careful of how we're losing money. Because you got to understand, you got to get to a part where you could start saving $10 a day. Saving $10 a day and getting an interest rate of 8%. Did you know that within 30 years, that will grow to over $447,000? You see, wealth is not hard to acquire. It's just that they're robbing it from us little. So that's one of the reasons why someone sent you this link for you to listen to. Our goal is to educate 1 million families by 2020. And that probably could be you. And if you hear this message, share with someone. Share this type of knowledge with people. Don't just hold on to it, because people need to know. And if you would love to have access to one of our free financial workshops and be a part of our crusade, please contact the person that shared this video with you and keep on sharing it, because people need to learn the rules to money. They need to understand how money works, because our national campaign for financial literacy, it is on a rise. It is on a movement. We're not going to stop. We want to teach you. So I highly encourage you to get in touch with the person that shared this video with you and get into one of our free workshops. You could either come to one of our physical locations or you could get access to it on a virtual access point where you could be home and you could tune in through your cell phone. You could watch it on a laptop or a tablet. We just want you to come and learn the information so that way you can apply it and start taking advantage. It is time you take control of your future. My name is Keon Corniff. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, hit share and spread the news with someone. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.